It was another quiet morning in Seattle. Robert, 68, started his day the same way he had for over 20 years. He brewed a cup of coffee, turned on the radio for the weather, and poured half a cup of oats into a small pot. Steam curled upward as the first sunlight touched the kitchen window. The spoon clinked against the bowl, and he smiled to himself. "Oatmeal is good for the heart," he said, as he always did. 30 minutes later, something felt off. His heartbeat picked up. His hands trembled slightly. A dull pressure spread across his chest. He thought, maybe it's the caffeine, maybe it's the weather, but it wasn't. What made Robert tired that morning wasn't the coffee. It was the way he'd been eating his so-called heart-healthy breakfast for the last 2 decades. If you or someone you love starts the day with oatmeal, stay until the end of this video. Because one tiny detail could be the reason your heart is working harder than it should every single morning. At first glance, Robert's habits looked perfect. No sugar packets, no butter, just oats, a bit of milk, and half a banana. But beneath that calm surface, something else was happening. Inside his body, the sugar from the banana and milk had already pushed his blood glucose up fast, faster than his aging pancreas could handle. His pulse quickened. His energy drained before the morning had even begun. By noon, Robert felt heavy and restless, yet he still believed oatmeal was protecting him. He wasn't alone. Millions of older adults across America start their mornings the same way, convinced they're eating for heart health, while their blood sugar quietly climbs higher than they realize. A week later, at a routine checkup, his doctor frowned at the numbers on the screen. Dr. Ethan Grant, a cardiometabolic specialist, turned the monitor toward him and said gently, "Robert, oatmeal isn't the problem. But after 60, your body reads its instructions differently." Robert blinked in surprise. "I thought oatmeal was the safest breakfast on earth." Dr. Grant smiled softly. "It still can be, but only if you teach it to work with your heart, not against it." For a moment, Robert sat silent, staring at his hands. He had done everything right, or so he thought. You've done your best to stay healthy, but no one ever told you this. After 60, your body plays by new rules. The light from the clinic window reflected off the ultrasound screen as Robert exhaled slowly, listening. The doctor pointed to a small graph showing his post-meal blood sugar spike. "This," Dr. Grant said, "is what's tiring your heart." If you're watching and you've ever felt dizzy, shaky, or exhausted after breakfast, this message is for you. Hit subscribe and stay with Ageless Vitality Channel. The next few minutes could change the way you eat forever. Because in the next part, Dr. Grant will reveal what really happens inside your body after that perfect bowl of oatmeal, and why a food once praised for health might be quietly wearing your heart down. Part 2. Why oatmeal can turn against your heart after 60. If oatmeal protects your heart, why are so many seniors feeling more tired after breakfast than before it? The room was quiet except for the hum of a small air purifier. Sunlight poured through the blinds and landed softly on a model of the human heart sitting on Dr. Ethan Grant's desk. He looked at Robert with a calm, knowing smile, the kind that made you feel safe even when the news wasn't simple. "Oatmeal isn't the enemy," Dr. Grant began, "but after 60, your body doesn't read it the same way anymore. What once protected your heart can now make it work too hard, depending on how you eat it." Robert leaned forward. "But I've been eating oatmeal for 20 years. It's supposed to be heart healthy. It still can be," Dr. Grant said gently. "The problem isn't the food, it's the timing, the toppings, and what's missing from the bowl." He paused for a moment, letting the words settle. Think of your body like a piano that's been played for many good years. The music is still there, but the strings are tighter. You can't strike them the same way. A light touch keeps the melody beautiful. A heavy one wears the strings out. Dr. Grant turned his screen toward Robert. The chart showed a sharp rise, a glucose spike, after breakfast. "This spike looks small," he explained, "but to a 60-year-old heart, it's like asking it to sprint uphill before it's even warmed up. Your heart rate climbs, your energy drops, and inflammation quietly builds in the background." Robert frowned. "Even without sugar?" Dr. Grant nodded. Even plain oats can cause that if your body isn't ready yet. When you eat right after waking up, your cortisol is high and your insulin is slow to respond. The sugar in oats floods your system before your body can open the gate. He pointed again to the chart. Studies from Johns Hopkins show that early morning carbs can double your heart's workload for the next 2 hours. He pointed to another line on the chart. Then, if you add honey or ripe fruit, it doubles the load. It's like asking your heart to run uphill before it's even had time to stretch. Robert looked surprised. But I thought natural sugar was safe. Dr. Grant smiled kindly. So does everyone. But to your heart, sugar is sugar, no matter where it comes from. He leaned back slightly, his voice calm and steady. This doesn't mean oatmeal is bad. It just means your body now needs help managing it. The key is balance, knowing what to add, when to eat, and what to avoid. For a moment, he looked thoughtful, almost nostalgic. When we were younger, our bodies forgave us easily. We could skip breakfast, eat late, or add a little extra honey and feel fine. But after 60, the body's rhythm changes. The pancreas slows down, digestion takes longer, and the heart reacts to every surge of sugar like a sudden drumbeat. You didn't do anything wrong. Your body just changed the rules. And that's the hardest part, isn't it? Realizing that what once kept you strong might now be quietly wearing you down, Dr. Grant turned off the monitor and folded his hands. So, there are 3 small habits, very common, very innocent, that silently push the heart harder each morning. Most of my patients never realize they're doing them. But when we fix them, their energy returns, their heartbeat calms, and their mornings feel lighter. Robert listened closely. 3 habits? Dr. Grant nodded. Yes, and they're probably the same ones in your kitchen right now. Let's open your kitchen together, Dr. Grant said softly. You'll see how every little routine, the water, the spoon, even the fruit, leaves a tiny fingerprint on your heart. Tension built gently in the air. The hum of the purifier seemed louder in the pause that followed. Dr. Grant's tone softened, almost inviting. We'll go through them one by one. You'll see why these simple morning routines, meant to protect your heart, might actually be wearing it down. The afternoon light shifted across the room, touching the small heart model on the desk. Dr. Grant picked it up, turning it slowly in his hand. This, he said, is one of the most patient organs you have. It forgives you every day. But even the most patient heart needs a little rest. He placed the model back gently, then smiled. And that rest, he said, begins right here, in your breakfast bowl. In a moment, you'll meet 3 people, each starting their morning with oatmeal, each making the same hidden mistake that quietly tires the heart. One of them could be you. He glanced at Robert with a look of reassurance. Once you see what they're doing, you'll probably recognize yourself too. And that's good, because awareness is where change begins. If what I've said so far makes sense to you, Dr. Grant added warmly, press subscribe and stay with the Ageless Vitality Channel. In the next part, we'll reveal the 3 silent oatmeal habits that can strain your heart without you even realizing it, and how easy it is to turn them around. Dr. Grant often tells his patients that not every strain on the heart comes from food itself. Sometimes it begins earlier, before the first bite, before the kettle boils. The heart doesn't wake the same way the mind does. It takes patience, a slow rhythm to find its beat again. Yet in our hurry to be healthy, we often forget that the body has its own pace. That quiet truth leads to the 3rd mistake, one that doesn't come from what we eat, but from when we eat. Part 3. 3 morning habits that quietly tire your heart. Mistake 1. Sweet starts that quietly tire the heart. Maybe your mornings start like this: a quiet kitchen, the smell of coffee, the comfort of a bowl that feels like health itself. You drizzle a little honey, slice half a banana, sprinkle some raisins. It looks perfect. Simple, natural, gentle on the stomach. And for years, it truly was. Until one day, your body started to change the way it read that sweetness. After 60, metabolism moves like an old clock, still precise, but slower in its gears. The same breakfast that once gave steady energy now hits faster and leaves you tired before noon. You might not notice it at first. A little warmth in your chest, a wave of sleepiness, or the feeling that your morning walk takes more effort than it used to. It's not in your head, it's in your blood. Inside your body, every spoon of sugar, even from honey or fruit, tells your liver to process fructose. Unlike glucose, which muscles can burn, fructose goes straight to the liver, where it becomes triglycerides, tiny fat particles that float in the bloodstream. The heart has to push harder to keep that thicker blood moving. It's like pumping syrup through narrow pipes instead of water, and that's just the beginning. As blood sugar rises sharply, your pancreas sends out insulin, the hormone that helps store sugar. But with age, insulin reacts more slowly. That delay means sugar stays longer in the blood, causing a brief surge in heart rate and body temperature, what many people mistake for morning jitters. It's not nerves, it's chemistry out of rhythm. Dr. Grant often explains it this way: your body isn't broken, it's simply doing the same work with older tools. The heart, the liver, the pancreas, they all still protect you. They just need you to work with them, not against them. The science sounds cold, but its message is warm. Each spike of sugar triggers tiny sparks of inflammation along blood vessel walls. Those sparks don't hurt, but over years they leave traces: a stiffness in arteries, a rise in blood pressure, a heart that beats harder than it needs to. You can't see it in the mirror, but you can feel it. Shorter breaths, lighter sleep, less stamina. The fix isn't to give up sweetness, only to slow it down. When natural sugar comes with fiber and protein, it enters the blood gradually. Steady fuel, not a flood. Replace honey and raisins with green apple, cinnamon, or a few berries. Add a spoon of chia seeds or a handful of nuts to your oats. They act like brakes for sugar, keeping your heartbeat calm. Within a week, most people notice they're not crashing mid-morning, and their pulse feels more even. Think of it as a small trade. You lose a little sweetness on your tongue, but you gain clarity in your body. Better focus, lighter steps, calmer mood. After 60, the goal isn't energy that burns fast. It's energy that lasts gently. If your mornings have been feeling heavier lately, it might not be age. It might just be the way your oats have been dressed. Your heart doesn't need to start the day fighting sugar. It needs a calm beginning, the kind that says you can rest. I've learned how to help you now. So tomorrow, before reaching for the honey jar, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, do I want sweet or do I want steady? If you've ever added a little sugar just to make it easier, type steady start in the comments. It's a simple way to remind yourself, and someone else reading, that every calm morning is a victory for your heart. Mistake 2. The hidden rush inside instant oatmeal. You might think switching from sugar to plain oats solves the problem, but for many people, the trouble starts before the first bite, with the kind of oats they choose. Convenience can be deceptive. The faster it cooks, the faster it hits your bloodstream. Instant oatmeal was made to fit busy mornings. No pans, no waiting, just hot water and a quick stir. It sounds harmless, even healthy. Yet inside your body, those few saved minutes come at a quiet cost. When oats are pre-cooked, flattened and dried, their structure changes. The starch granules that used to release energy slowly are now broken down, so your body digests them almost as quickly as table sugar. After 60, this speed becomes a problem. The body no longer wants food that rushes, it needs food that flows. Dr. Grant explains it simply. Instant oats raise blood sugar about twice as fast as whole oats. When that happens, the heart works nearly 20% harder to clear the surge. You don't feel it as pain, just a brief warmth, a light pressure, or a tiredness you can't explain. At the center of this lies one small molecule called beta-glucan. It's a special fiber in whole oats that forms a gel in your stomach, slowing digestion and helping the liver balance cholesterol. But instant oats lose up to 70% of this fiber during processing. Without it, there's nothing to steady the flow of sugar or protect the heart from the morning spike. Think of it like a dam that regulates a river. In whole oats, the dam is strong, letting water through at an even pace. In instant oats, the gates are open. The sugar rushes through, and your heart has to handle the flood. Over months, that constant surge stirs inflammation in blood vessels and raises triglycerides, tiny changes that slowly exhaust the heart's resilience. Dr. Grant isn't against convenience, he's against shortcuts that quietly demand more from the body. Real convenience, he says, means meals that give you energy without taking it from somewhere else. And the fix is simple. Choose steel-cut or rolled oats, the kinds that still hold their shape when cooked. They take 10 minutes longer, but they return hours of steady energy. Add a small portion of protein or healthy fat, a boiled egg, a spoon of chia, a few almonds, and the body's rhythm stays calm. Many of his older patients tried this for a week. The feedback was nearly the same: less afternoon fatigue, clearer focus, calmer pulse. No medication, no restriction, just slower oats. Instant oatmeal may save you time on the clock, but it steals it from your heart. Give your breakfast a chance to breathe. Let the food you eat move at the same pace your body now needs. Slower, steadier, kinder. If you've ever chosen instant oats because they were quicker, type slow oats in the comments. It's a small reminder that after 60, patience is power, and the quiet heart is the strongest one of all. And yet, speed is not the only hidden strain. Some habits tire the heart even before breakfast begins. The next mistake happens not in the kitchen, but in the first 10 minutes after waking, when the body asks for stillness, and we rush it instead. Mistake 3. Eating before your body is ready. The sun isn't fully up yet. You wake, stretch a little, and head straight to the kitchen. The habit feels harmless. Eat early, stay energized. For decades, people have been told that breakfast should come as soon as the eyes open. But after 60, your body speaks a different language. It asks for time, not food. Dr. Grant calls it the quiet gap. It's the short window between sleep and digestion when the heart, stomach, and pancreas are still waking up. During sleep, your digestive juices rest, your blood flow slows, and your cortisol, the hormone that prepares you for movement, is naturally high in the first hour after waking. When you eat too soon, especially something warm and heavy like oatmeal, your body is forced to multitask. One system still half asleep, another suddenly under pressure. The result? Bloating, a heavy chest, or mild dizziness, signs of a stomach and heart moving out of sync. Many of Dr. Grant's older patients describe it as a tired fullness, a feeling that breakfast, though small, somehow weighs more than it should. Here's what happens beneath the surface. When you eat immediately after waking, your stomach hasn't yet released enough acid or enzymes to break down food efficiently. The oats begin to swell inside, drawing water from your system. Meanwhile, cortisol keeps blood sugar elevated while insulin is still slow to respond. The combination means a double hit: weak digestion and a sudden sugar wave. The heart, already most vulnerable in the early morning, must pump harder to stabilize everything. But the fix is beautifully simple. Start your morning with a glass of warm water instead of food. Give your body 10 to 15 minutes to wake up its rhythm. Breathe, walk slowly, open the window, or stretch by the sink. This gentle motion signals your digestive organs to prepare for work. Then, when you eat, your body receives food with calm efficiency, not surprise. Dr. Grant often tells his patients, "You don't start a car and drive full speed in the first second. You let the engine warm up." Your body deserves the same respect. It's not about skipping breakfast. It's about letting the body catch up with your intentions. And the reward is immediate. Most people notice within a few days that they no longer feel bloated after breakfast. Their heart rate stays steadier, their morning energy more balanced. That 10-minute pause becomes a form of care, not delay, but kindness. Because the heart doesn't just respond to what you eat, it responds to how you begin the day. And in the next part, we'll see how to turn these small morning changes into lasting strength. How every quiet adjustment at breakfast can ripple through the entire day and help the heart find its true rhythm again. The morning feels different now. Quieter, gentler, filled with the soft scent of cinnamon and warm air from the stove. It's no longer the rush of early mornings or the cold light of a clinic. It's peace. Dr. Grant stands at the counter, speaking the way he always does when he wants something to truly stay in your mind. "You don't need to quit oatmeal," he says softly. "You just need to teach it to love your heart again." He lays out the simple ingredients in front of him, the same ones anyone can find at home. Half a cup of rolled oats, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, half a cup of plain Greek yogurt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a few slices of green apple, or a handful of blueberries if you prefer something sweet. This, he says, is not just breakfast. It's a small act of repair. He explains each part like he's guiding an old friend through something meaningful. Chia seeds form a soft layer in your stomach, he says. It slows how fast sugar moves into your blood. That gives your heart time to handle it, calmly, steadily. He stirs in the yogurt next. Greek yogurt adds protein. That's your steady fuel. And it brings probiotics that keep digestion smooth. When your gut is balanced, your insulin stays gentle, and your heart doesn't need to race after breakfast. A pinch of cinnamon follows, the scent warm and rich. Cinnamon helps your cells respond better to insulin, he says. It's like opening a door that's been stiff for years. Now your energy can move freely again. He adds a few apple slices on top. Fruit gives brightness, he says. A little acid from apples or blueberries helps your body fight inflammation and keeps your energy steady for hours. No spike, no crash, just calm endurance. He pauses for a moment. When these ingredients come together, he says, they do something special. They bring rhythm back to your morning, the same rhythm your heart has been quietly asking for. Then his tone softens even more. Even if you've done it wrong for 20 years, he says, it's never too late to start again. The body listens the moment you begin to care. He tells of patients who've tried this small change. Some had eaten instant oats with sugar for decades. Others thought fatigue was simply age. But after 2 weeks of this balanced mix, he says, their numbers shifted. Heart stress markers dropped nearly 30%. Not from new medicine, not from exercise routines, just from breakfast that matched their body's pace. He smiles. That 30% isn't a statistic. It's the difference between a heavy chest and an easy breath. Between getting tired halfway up the stairs and finishing with a smile. He lets the words settle, then continues, voice calm but sure. Real healing doesn't happen because you punish yourself, he says. It happens when you start working with your body instead of against it. When you let food and timing move with your rhythm. For a moment, he seems to be remembering something. Maybe a patient, maybe a morning like this one. One man told me, he says, that after he changed his breakfast, he felt calm before his day began for the first time in years. He said, "Doctor, I didn't just fix my meal, I fixed my mornings." There's quiet again, but it's the kind of quiet that feels full, not empty. Every meal, he continues, is a conversation with your body. You can speak with stress, or you can speak with kindness. The heart hears both. He looks toward the window, where sunlight is spreading across the table. What matters isn't how perfect you eat. It's that you eat with attention, that you give your heart a signal. You're safe now. He takes a slow breath, almost as if he's speaking to each listener personally. If this feels helpful, he says, share it with someone you care about. One breakfast like this might give another heart a little rest after decades of working too hard. Then he closes gently, the way he always does, calm and certain. What surprised me most, he says, wasn't how numbers changed. It was how people changed. They felt lighter, more awake, more alive. It wasn't just about food, it was about trust. He pauses once more before the final thought. Every morning gives you one quiet chance, he says. A chance to start with calm, to feed your body with patience, and to remind your heart that it's safe again. He smiles, not as a doctor finishing a lecture, but as someone who understands. So tomorrow morning, he says, try it. Give your heart that gentle start, and if you do, write the words "heart start" somewhere you can see them, maybe on your fridge, maybe in the comments, to remind yourself that every calm beginning is a small victory, and with that, the lesson, the story, the rhythm, all return to where it began. A simple bowl of oats, made with care, eaten with peace, and finally, loved by the heart again. Dr. Grant sat quietly, hands folded around a warm cup of tea. The kitchen had gone still. No sound, but the faint ticking of a clock somewhere in the background. He took a slow breath before speaking. "If there's one thing I've learned after all these years," he said softly, "it's that the heart doesn't grow tired overnight. It tires slowly, through habits we thought were harmless, through mornings we rushed, through sweetness we mistook for comfort." He looked down for a moment, as if seeing the faces of his many patients, people who once believed fatigue was just part of aging. "But I've also seen what happens when that changes. When someone finally decides to listen to their heart again, even after 60, the body listens back. It's never too late for that conversation." He smiled faintly. "We started this journey with oatmeal, something so simple, so ordinary. And yet, it revealed everything about how we live. We learned that too much sweetness can strain the heart, that speed steals balance, and that even the right food eaten at the wrong time can make the morning heavier than it should be." He paused, letting the weight of those truths settle. "But we also learned something far more important, that change doesn't have to hurt. It can be gentle, a spoon less sugar, a few minutes more patience, a habit of waiting before the first bite. These are small things, but together, they shape the rhythm of your life." His voice softened. "The heart is not asking you for perfection. It's asking for presence. It wants you to wake up with kindness, to remember that calm is strength, that slow is safe, that steady is powerful." He took another sip of tea. "In medicine, we measure progress with numbers, blood pressure, sugar, cholesterol. But the truth I've come to believe is simpler. The first sign of healing isn't in the lab results. It's in how you feel when you wake up. It's in the mornings, when you no longer dread the day, when your breath feels light and your chest feels calm. That is what health really means." He set the cup down and rested his hands on the table. "If these stories have spoken to you," he said, "then I ask just one thing. Share them. Because knowledge alone changes nothing, but shared understanding changes lives. One video, one conversation, one breakfast at a time." He smiled again, this time brighter. "Tell someone you love that they don't have to give up their favorite food. They just have to meet it halfway. Show them how small adjustments can bring energy back to their mornings. It might seem simple, but I've seen it happen. A husband teaches his wife, a daughter shows her father, a neighbor shares what worked. That's how hearts heal, not alone, but together." The room grew quiet again. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and warm oats. Dr. Grant looked up, eyes kind. "Your heart has been loyal to you every day of your life. It has worked through every stress, every late night, every bad habit. Maybe it's time to return that loyalty, to give it mornings that feel safe again." He smiled one last time, not as a doctor now, but as someone grateful. "You don't need a miracle. You just need a little consistency, a little care, and the courage to start over tomorrow morning." He stood slowly, gathering the cup and bowl. "Health," he said quietly, "isn't something you chase. It's something you practice. One calm breakfast, one steady heartbeat at a time." And with that, he turned back to the window where sunlight was beginning to fill the room. It wasn't the same light as before. It felt warmer now, fuller somehow. Because when the heart is finally understood, even the morning light feels different.